Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your coach Renz, and today we're going to be answering a question that one of my subscribers sent to me, eyes wide open. So we're going to answer this question. And guys, if you got questions, you have any questions, go ahead and send them in. Some will get a direct answer. Others, like this one, will get a video made. So I hope you guys, there are more people who probably have this question. What you may not be in the same situation as eyes wide open, but this still will affect you. This is still something you can consider. And when you think about it, I want you to think about this on a grander scale. So let's get right into it. Before I do, though, let me thank everyone who subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much for subscribing to the YouTube channel. If you're finding me for the first time, we talk about the 360 degrees of the person. Everything from your wealth, your health, your relationships, and your spirituality. And this one in particular is kind of interesting because when you hear the question, you're really going to understand why I say it's interesting. Now, I also want to thank everybody who supports me on Patreon. Your Patreon gifts are amazing. I appreciate them. They help me to be able to continue to do what I do, to be able to, continue to make videos, and I greatly appreciate that. And everybody who supports by shopping at Uncle Ren's Popcorn, that's urpopcorn.com, as well as Coach Renz. Thank you guys very, very, very much. Now, eyes wide open. What was the question? Well, Eyes Wide Open had listened to one of my lives where it was a Ask Renz. Life comes down to alchemy, hermetics, and chakras. That was the video to which Eyes Wide Open was concerned about, that he had a question about. He or she had a question about. So here's their question. Coach, I am an atheist, which means I don't believe there is sufficient evidence to believe in a God or gods. So I take the position of non-belief until evidence shows otherwise. But in taking this position, I find it hard to follow a lot of spiritual books such as the Kybalion, as I don't believe in things that are supernatural. My question is, how can a person like me use the principles in the Kybalion to guide my life without having to bite the supernatural pill? Now, it's a great question. This is the book, the Kybalion, to which he speaks. All right. Now, the Kybalion is based off ancient text that was written in Egypt, most of it coming from the Emerald Tablets, but other ancient texts as well. You'll find the teachings of the Kybalion in many other books, many other religious circles, many other philosophies. You'll find it in a lot of places. What he's saying, or he or she is saying, what Eyes Wide Open is saying, is asking, is when they read these books, they have a spiritual leaning towards them. When you read the Kybalion, really, there's only one spiritual leaning, one aspect of it that you really have to consider when it comes to spirituality. And yes, a lot of it is standing on that, but there's so much more that you can grasp. But let's take a broader perspective of this. Many of you out there won't read a book that's Christian based, a book that's Buddhist based, a book that's Taoist based, a book that's Muslim based, or any other type of spirituality, because you get hung up on the belief of a God. And yes, most of it is construed to their version of what God is, or the creator, or the infinite intelligence, whatever they call it in that particular grouping, that particular philosophy. What we have to be able to do, though, is to take from these books, take from this wisdom. You see, knowledge, wisdom comes in many different forms. And the fact that we look at a book such as the Torah, or a book like the Bhagavad Gita, and we say, well, I can't read that book because I don't believe in Krishna, I don't believe in Kali, so I can't read that book. But yet there are lessons. If you're studying Kali, there are lessons about how to tame your ego, how to come out and be combative and destroy things that are taking away from the peace and tranquility, but how you can get yourself so caught up that you begin to take away from the peace and tranquility. So you have to then shut down your ego by allowing that other portion of you to lay down in front of you and be willing to die. So there are lessons you can take from the understanding of Kali without actually having to believe in Kali. So with Eyes Wide Open being an atheist and saying that until sufficient evidence proves that there is a God or gods, they're not accepting that as a belief or position, but they want to be able to take these types of lessons and add them to their life. Now, the kybalion is one of the great ones. It's one of the great ones because within the kybalion, it gives you just the basic core of how the universe works. It doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are. It doesn't matter what your philosophy. It doesn't matter what your politics. It doesn't matter your cultural beliefs. It just gives you the basics of how the universe works, right? And within it, though, there is a level of, I don't like the term supernatural, because supernatural would mean that it's something that's outside of the natural order of the universe. As we get into these 7 hermetics, you may come to understand why I'm saying that, because the universe is all natural. It all works naturally. There is nothing actually supernatural about the universe in all its workings and all its mechanisms. There's nothing supernatural. This is why the law of cause and effects and the law of correspondence will show you that there is no such thing as luck, nor is there such thing as supernatural. There is only the natural at higher levels of consciousness, and that higher levels can affect the lower levels. And we may call them supernatural simply because we're existing at this level of understanding. But I stepped ahead of myself, so let me reel it back a little bit. So how can a person like him or her implement the teachings of the kybalion, which was written in around the early 1800s, around 1808 is when it first surfaced, and it is basically based on 3 initiates who supposedly gained an understanding from learning from the mystery schools of Akhenaten in Egypt and other mystery schools throughout time and history. So let's dive right into it. How does this work? Well, I've listed here the 7 hermetic laws. I'll briefly tell you about each one of them and then break down how they actually can work for a person who does not believe in a supernatural being or believe in a god or gods. So here's the deal. And I know I just said supernatural, but it's all right because I'm talking from that perspective. The first one is the law of mentalism. And this is the only place that a God creator exists within the hermetic laws. But you still can use the lessons and the teachings, the primary lessons and teachings from it. So the law of mentalism says that all is mental. The universe is mental. Everything in the universe starts with a thought. Everything is a thought. Now, the part where a person like Eyes Wide Open would stray away from it is to say that the creator, the all, is referenced as the all in the kybalion. The all created the universe as a mental projection, as just a thought. The thoughts of the all is what we are all the manifestation of. Every book, every piece of letter, every object, air, oxygen is all a mental creation of the all. It is not from the all, it is not of the all, but just the mental creation. Just in the same way that right now you can sit there and you can create an entire civilization in your mind. You can create one. If you think about it, this is how our authors create these things. This is how books are written. This is why nonfiction books are written. This is how any storytelling ever occurs. First, it happens with a thought. This is how inventions take hold. Man first thought of a refrigerator before a refrigerator was created. We thought of plumbing before plumbing was created. Even in curing medical issues, we think of things, think of possibilities before we actually create them. So all things begin with a mental thought. And at its essence, that's what the law of mentalism is. So how do you deal with that and take the all out? So I cannot, but for you, Eyes Wide Open, you can say that, okay, I don't believe that there is a creator that created the universe in his or her mind, in its mind. But what I do know is, and I can prove without a shadow of a doubt, is that if I focus on something and think about something, it will begin to manifest itself. Mainly because you're going to put these other laws into action. But it first began with you thinking about it. You think about going to college and then you go. You think about getting a job and then you get one. You think about building a company and then you build one. You think about getting married and then you get married. You think about having a child and you have the child. These are usually thoughts that you think first. Now, yes, some things happen because of cause and effect without you actually thinking about it wholeheartedly, but at some point it was a split second thought. You may not have thought about being a father or a mother, but the fact that you thought about committing to the action that creates one, you thought about being a mother or a father. You knew it was a possibility, and it presented itself once you committed to the action. But in most things that we discuss as far as utilizing it in your life, what you focus on is what you will start to receive in life. But even more so, as many other books have picked up knowledge and wisdom from other areas, because anyone who claims that whatever they read as their philosophy is original would be lying to themselves and lying to society. Everything is piecemealed throughout its growth and development. There's nothing that we have now that is truly an original. There was an influence somewhere. So when you look at it from that point of view, you can say, I can take from this book, and this book has many other groups have taken from it as well. So in this book, in the Law of Mentalism, as well as in the Christian Bible, as well as in the Torah, as well as in the Vedics and in the Tao, as well as in the writings of Napoleon Hill and Tony Robbins and anybody else who's a self-help person, as a man thinketh, so shall he be. So although the Law of Mentalism does talk about the all and the existence of the all, you can prove and you can without a shadow of a doubt that everything starts with the mental vibration, the mental creation first. So when it begins that way, the Law of Mentalism works for you. You want to lose weight? Get the image in your head of what you would look like at a smaller size. Now get an image in your head of what that person would eat. Get an image in your head of what activities that person would participate in. Get an image in your head of what that person would drink. You begin to get that image in your head before reality catches up to you, or this third dimensional plane of reality catches up to you. But you get the image first. So I spent a little bit more time on that one because I want you to understand that even though that is where spirituality exists within the whole concept of the kybalion, you can prove that it's a reality just within yourself. And so it becomes a real thing. Now, after that, we have the Law of Correspondence. Of course, the Law of Correspondence says that as above, so below, and so below as above. Now, what that means is that there are different levels of consciousness, different levels of existence. There is the consciousness of the plant, and there's the consciousness of the human. There's the consciousness of the dog, and there's the consciousness of the atom. There's a mineral existence, and there's a physical existence. There's a energetic existence. You may not like to use the term a spiritual plane, but you can say an energy plane or energetic plane or a conscious plane where you leave this physical body, but your consciousness, which is pure energy, continues on. We don't even know all the places that people want to say, oh, the conscious is here, or the conscious is here, or is here, or is here. How about the conscious is within all of it? Within all of it. Some will say that the idea of the Holy Spirit coming to dwell inside of you is the conscious energy coming to dwell inside of you, the spiritual energy coming to dwell inside of you, your true self coming to dwell inside of you. Because in other places, if there are writings in Nag Hammadi that talks about, the kingdom is within you and all around you. Energy, life, love, vibration, everything is all around you. In the Islamic tradition, there are different levels of heaven and there are different levels of hell. This is speaking on the same thing of there are different dimensional planes of existence. Scientists are realizing that there are many different planes of understanding and dimensions. So the Law of Correspondence is simply saying that those exist. And since those exist, things on a higher plane can affect those things on the lower plane, just as things on the lower can affect things on the higher. A simple way of proving this is incredibly simplistic. You can affect the existence of a dog. You're of the human mind, where the dog is of the animal mind. You're at human conscious, they're at animal conscious. But you affect the life of that dog. In the same way, don't feed the dog. That dog will affect you as well. Or just in love. The dog, like a cat could care less if you come home, but a dog will wag his tail and be excited every time and change your whole mood, your whole environment. You know, we have coping pets and coping plants and things of the plant mind that are coping with helping people to cope on a human mind. So the idea that we can see that from our existence, if we looked at our existence as the highest plane, we can affect things on the lower planes below us, the plant mind, the animal mind, the mineral mind, nuclear fusion and fission, affecting things on the mineral level. You know, how we deal with bacteria and things like affecting things on micro levels. But our difficulty comes in when we try to think of the levels above us. How do we affect levels above us? Some jump into talking about ancestors at this point. Others will talk about guardian angels. Others will talk about, you know, named angels and demons and things of that nature. While others just, hey, if I can't prove that it exists, I can't deal with it. But what you can deal with is right now. You know that you can affect people on a conscious level. You can affect animals. You can affect plants. You can affect different things on a conscious level that is below you, that is not as intelligent or as conscious as you are. But you don't necessarily have to accept that there are higher conscious levels beyond that. Even though we do know that when the body dies, the mind does not. When the body dies, the consciousness does not. So there has to be something, somewhere, something happens to it. Whether it disperses and become joined with other consciousness and forms a new person, that would be reincarnation. Or if it went out, and that would be a form of reincarnation, I say. Or if it just dispersed and just was so fragmented that it just ceased to exist in any cohesion, but became parts of all of us. You know, maybe that's why people have visions and dreams of past lives and deja vu. Or you just say it goes somewhere. I don't know where, but it goes somewhere. But wherever and whatever, its abilities are different. The conscious level, thinking through it has to change, because everything that it lived by, everything it perceived, everything it thought was a limitation is no longer a limitation. So in my thought process, it changes. And since it doesn't have the limitations of the physical body, then it can affect things on the physical plane by its higher conscious thought process. But you can use it just in affecting other people around you. Charisma, how you use charisma to change a person's mindset towards you. Salespeople do it constantly. Leaders do it constantly. Being able to impose their mentalism on someone else. Some through tyranny, others through love or through peace. So vibration. Everything vibrates. Nothing stands still. Everything is moving. This is not dead. It continues to move. Your body will always move. It may transmute from one energy source to another energy source, but it never dies. It never ceases movement. It just moves from one plane to another plane. If I set this book afire, then I'm changing the vibration of the book. I'm heating up. The fire will heat up the vibration of the pages and turn them and transmute the pages into ash, into another form, into a different type of energy. In the same way, everything will go through that process. What we call death is actually a lower vibrational pattern of the body, but the consciousness continues to vibrate at a higher level. The frequency still goes up. So when we think about vibration, we have to recognize that everything is always vibrating. Everything is always changing. Nothing ever stays the same. So the law of change is now in effect. The fact that everything will always change. And if you want things to vibrate to a higher level of consciousness, then you increase the vibration. If you want to slow it down, then you slow it down and you dumb it down, as we may say. But even in that is a more of an elementary thought process of it. Because a thing that speeds up its vibration at some point becomes invisible to the naked eye, right? Or looks as if, not invisible, but looks as if it's not moving anymore. But a thing that slows down is not moving, looks like it's not moving either. The difference is the degrees of its ability to be able to transmute itself into other things. A thing that has slowed down, it's only going to be transmuted into something of a lower frequency. Something that's speeding up, it will transmute itself into a higher frequency. Take water, for example. Heat up water, it transmutes itself into vapor, into gas. Slow it down, it turns into ice. But it's still water. It's just the degrees of its vibration. In your life, think about how many people, what the frequency of other people are around you. What's the frequency of money? What's the frequency of a job? What's the frequency of a relationship? What's the vibrational pattern of the group of people that you're around? Are they high vibration or are they low vibration? So you can use it in that framework of your life and how it functions. And if you want to understand that even more, then we understand the law of polarity. The law of polarity says that everything is on a scale. That first we must understand the pole. I use water for instance. On the pole, water at a high vibration, gas. Water at a low vibration, ice. And then there are thousands and millions of different levels in between. From different levels of ice to water, different levels of water to gas, and different types of gas. The Inuit people have 7 or 8 different name types and names for snow. Why? Because there's different snow for different things based on the vibrational pattern of the snow. Some snow is good for packing. Some snow is good for building. Some snow is dangerous. Some snow is good for eating. The different levels of the snow, which is just different vibrational patterns of it, tells you what you can use it for. So as we know where we are on the scale, we then can understand how to utilize whatever it is or however we are, and then increase or decrease the vibration to suit what our mental imagery is for our next stage or our next step. So we may have to increase the vibration or slow it down. My heart is so wide open that it's vibrating high, but then the people that are around me do not appreciate that. So I need to slow down my heart vibration so that I can not get hurt. Or the people around me are amazing. They are grateful for who I am and grateful for the love I have given them. So let me increase my vibration. Let me open my heart even more so that more love can come in. So we can use the law of vibration in many different ways in conjunction with the law of polarity so that we can move up and down the scale. The key is understanding what scale you're dealing with. You're not dealing with hot or cold, you're dealing with temperature, right? You're not dealing with rich or poor, you're dealing with currency, okay? You're not dealing in, you're dealing with health, not sick or well. You're dealing with health. What level of health are you going to be on? And unfortunately, but fortunately, we have the law of rhythm. The law of rhythm is simply in concert with, I guess I could have used cohesion, but it's not really right. In concert with the idea of the law of vibration, right? And polarity, but mainly the law of vibration. You see, in law of vibration, everything is changing. Nothing ever stays the same. The law of rhythm is where that happens. The law of rhythm is the fact that everything is on a pendulum swing. The moment something gets to its height, it begins to swing back to its low. However high the swing to the right is however far the swing to the left. However far up you go up the right side of the pole is as far as you can go to the left. Many people polarize themselves in the middle because they believe that they're safe and talk about having greatness in their life, but they can never get there simply because they are afraid of the high swing to the right. Well, they're not afraid of the high swing to the right. They're afraid of the high swing to the left. So we have to understand that no matter what we're doing in life, that as much money as you are making, there is a pendulum swing that will take you all the way back to negative with whatever that number is that you're making now. The true master and the true user of this will recognize that there is something called polarization, where when you swing to the right of something and immediately seeing that you begin to swing to the left, you increase your vibration to get back to the right. Understand, what you did yesterday to increase your vibration to the right may not work today. In the same way that we will say the person that you are dating or married to, whatever you did to make them happy 5 years ago may not be the thing that makes them happy today. You have to change it up. The law of change is always in play. The law of vibration is always there. The law of mentalism. Why have their ideas of what makes them happy change? Because their mentalism has changed. Therefore, their vibration has changed. The pole has changed. So you have to change. Otherwise, the rhythm will flow you all the way out the door into a broken relationship. So we have to consider also all the laws in dealing with things of that nature. Now, from the law of rhythm, and understanding that rhythm is in everything, we have one of the most powerful laws out there. It doesn't require a belief in anything. As a matter of fact, those who don't have a dependency on manna from heaven, those who don't have a dependency on Allah saving them, or don't have a dependency on something outside of themselves, are the ones who have more power and seize the keys of power by understanding the law of cause and effect. Now, don't get me wrong. There are those who do believe in a God, goddess, or whatever, a force, or karma, any of those things, who still understand the law of cause and effect. These are the ones who not only they say that faith without works is dead, but they live a life that shows that faith without works is dead. There's a difference. There's a difference. You go and find 100 people who will proclaim that, and maybe 2 or 3 actually lives it. The other 98, the other 97 will say it, but not do it. They will say it and they will know it, but not do it. The old adage that when you know better, you do better doesn't always take effect and doesn't always hold, because they will not do better. So when you understand that no matter what you believe or what you don't believe in, that the law of cause and effect is always at work. There is no such thing as luck. There truly is no such thing as miracles. And in this instance, there is no supernatural. This is merely something, when things that we call the supernatural are luck, are merely laws or actions, causal factors that we don't know nor can explain. When people say that, oh man, I was saved, I didn't get hit by this car, it's a miracle. You may be able to track that back and say, well, you didn't get hit because of the car was only traveling at this speed, at this angle, and you was here, and mathematically we can figure that out. But when we cannot figure it out, we may give it to a deity, and many will. And if that's their choice, then that's cool. But understanding that there are causal factors beyond what you can ever know nor understand. Simply, do you think the people who experienced the hurricane, in the tsunami, how'd it go? A butterfly flaps his wing in Maine and a tsunami happens in Japan. Do you think the people in Japan know that the causal factor was the butterfly that flapped its wings? This is something they wouldn't know. So they may see the tsunami as this is penance from God. This is us not living the Bushido code. This is any of those things. Whereas one thing we can track and know is a hurricane. Back in the day, they said that hurricanes were punishments from God. But what we know is that because of the current and the water temperature and the air temperature, that every year during a certain time frame, hurricanes come off the coast of Africa and make their way towards the Americas, most of the time into the Gulf of Mexico. So we can track that now, but 300 years ago, it wasn't seen as the same. It was seen as, the Native Americans who were here saw that, 500-600 years ago, thought that this was the spirits of their ancestors, or the sky people who were bringing punishments to them. But some even saw it as a clearing, as a detoxing of the land, because it stripped away. But every time it stripped away, it brought beauty. The priest of Egypt once thought that the Nile flooding at the same time around December 25th time frame every year, around that December 25th to January 1st, thought that was a pestilence. And then once they realized that after the flood, it left a more fertile riverbed, a more fertile ground that they can plant from, then they recognize it as a blessing. So as time changes, people change, our mindset change, we learn more, so we begin to understand the law of cause and effect. People who are poor in health, poor in finances, poor in relationship, and poor in spirituality, they're not poor because of a unknown existence. They're poor because of mainly their own existence, their own decisions, and then the environment that they remain in, or the environment that they give in to. So the more we understand that, the better. And we will have, and this is why you will seize the keys of power when you understand cause and effect. If you don't take any of the hermetic laws, take that one. That for every effect, there is a cause. And for every cause, there is an effect. And usually that effect is going to be equal to the causation. We do like that you put a little bit of this and it creates this big thing. Yeah, but it took a lot to get that little bit. That's the part that we miss out on. A lot that it took to get to the little bit, right? That little bit of focus that you have now on at one particular thing. You got a mental image, this is where I'm going, I don't have a plan B. It took you a lot of freaking falling, a lot of mistakes, a lot of lessons learned in order for you to get that little bit of focus that now perpetuates a great thing in your life. So we often forget about that part and just think we just need a little bit. But that little bit came from a lot. And that's just how these, like in the Tao, verse 14 of the Tao, it just hit me that verse 14 of the Tao says something to that effect that works very well with that. Got to turn the light on, I can't see. Within verse 14, it said, what rises up appears bright, what settles down appears dark. Yet there is neither darkness nor light, just an unbroken dance of shadows, from nothingness to fullness, and back again to nothingness. This formless form, this imageless image, cannot be grasped by the mind or might. It goes on to talk about once you come to realize that and be in the moment of things, then you are living the Tao, living the way. You are within, you are in the karma. You hitting some samadhi at that point. You recognize the kingdom that's all around you. You have the power of cause and effect because you realize there are causes, it looks here, and then there are bigger effects. And that is a constant cycle of things that happen along the scale. And all you have to do is continue to recognize the vibrational pattern of what keeps you where you want to be. And you'll continue to grow. Now, within all of that is the law of gender. The law of gender just says that there is male and female in everything. When we look at nature, we know there's male and female. Nothing can reproduce without having male and female. Even an asexual entity has both male and female in them. There's no other way. There's no other way anything in the universe is produced without it. So how does that affect you? Well, of course, we understand that biologically, but it is the mental understanding and then the cause and effect understanding that will make you realize it even more so. You see, like attracts like, but in order for that like to grow and flourish, there must be an equal balance of the masculine energy and the feminine energy. There must be. Without it, it can't happen. Without nurturing, you cannot just bring instruction without action. You cannot just bring the lesson without teaching. You can't bring forth a business without understanding the functionality of the business. You can't have the money but don't have the wisdom. You have to have both working together in order for it to maturate and create something amazing. Without that, you don't get it at all. So the law of gender is simply saying that you cannot just be the ego. You have to also be the she-go. All right, you got to have both in you. You got to have, in order for you to develop a great, let's say a great business, and y'all know I love business. You have to be aggressive, but you also got to have great customer service and know how to take care of your people. If you want to be a great leader, you got to be decisive, but you also got to know how to listen to your people, and then make a good decision. Right? You have to have this duality about you. And the law of gender is just really saying that within everything there is a duality. There is a yin to my yang. You know, there is a wife to my husbandry. There is always both. And without both, you don't have a completion. And you need that completion in order to have success. Because if you're vibrating and you're vibrating total male, then your frequency is going to be off, because what you are trying to get up the scale to, that vibrational pattern holds both masculine and feminine. It's just like in IT. I have an IT degree. Everything in IT is based on zeros and ones. Zeros and ones. In the medical field, look at most of their graphs. They go up and down, up and down. Up positive up 1, negative down 1, positive up 1, negative down 1. Infinity is in the zero. Infinity is in the zero. A few of y'all are really going to get that. A few of y'all are really, if you listen to this part, a few of y'all are really going to get that. Go research infinity in the zero, because positive up 1, positive, negative down 1, but the zero is the constant infinity. All things, the action happens in the zero. We call it the flat line, but in the flat line is where creation happens. That's in the seam. We got to get into the seam of understanding, and then we will find our greatness. This is when, oh my gosh, that 14th verse of the Tao just keep coming back in, because at the end it says, know that which is beyond all beginnings, and you will know everything here and now. Know everything in the moment, and you will know the eternal Tao. And it's just being in the present, you know, being in the present, you know, the past, present, future, past. And as soon as you come back into that past, you go up into your past, or you can do it reverse, I don't care. But you go in, you may say, okay, this is the future, but then you can't go from their future to your present. That's why past, down into your present, because your past is creating your present. And from your present, you try to devise your future, right? You try to divine it. And as you do things to try to create your future, it becomes your present again. And then that present again becomes your past. And then that past becomes your present. And see, but everything infinite is in the present. You're infinite in the present. Man, I'm going to leave it right there. I'm leaving it right there. So, eyes wide open. I hope this answers your question. Thank you for submitting the question. When I read it today, I thought, man, that's a great question. I'm going to move this up the video scale. But, you know, you guys have a great day. Continue to be safe. Continue to take care of yourself. Regardless of what's going on or what you think about it or who you think about it, there are people who are dying for whatever reason. And be mindful of your actions and your activities. I appreciate everybody who supports this channel. Continue to support the channel. Subscribe. If you really enjoyed this video, share it, subscribe, and I greatly appreciate it. And continue to support me on Patreon, as well as on shopping at Uncle Ren's Popcorn, urpopcorn.com. And if you're looking for coaching, I'm going to be coaching my last few people here real soon, because I am developing a 360-degree program that is aimed towards entrepreneurs, and I'm really just going to focus on entrepreneurs for the next couple of years. So there's personal programming, personal coaching involved, but if you're not gearing towards a business, I want my coaching to be towards that. Building a business, building your family, building yourself, as well as building everyone around you and everything around you. All right, we're going to get your life organized, going to get everything done. So this program that I'm almost finished putting together is going to be great. So I look forward to it. So you guys have a great day. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Good journey. Good vibrations.